Chapter 275, The Blood Moon Hotel. Chapter 275, The Blood Moon Hotel. This is the only hotel in this city. A plaque like this hangs on the lintel of the door. The hotel must be unusual. Jian Wushuang thought while walking into the hotel. An attendant immediately came to greet him. "Patron, are you here for accommodation or a meal?" the attendant asked with a smile. "How many purple crystal spiritual liquid does it cost for one night?" Jian Wushuang said casually. 10 drops of purple crystal spiritual liquid for one night, the attendant answered smilingly. "Really expensive." Jian Wushuang couldn't help but sigh. Experts of the yin-yang void realm used purple crystal spiritual liquid for exchange. Ordinary experts of the initial yin void realm owned about 100 drops of purple crystal spiritual liquid. If they stayed here for a night, it would cost 10% of all their possessions. It was expensive indeed. Expensive? The attendant shook his head with a smile. "Even one of our stools is worth a drop of purple crystal spiritual liquid. If someone messes up here and breaks our tables and stools, he would pay 100 times of that, that is to say, he will pay 100 drops of purple crystal spiritual liquid for a stool. Tables deserve more. Pay 1,000 drops of purple crystal spiritual liquid for a broken table, not to mention wine pots or wine bowls, so it doesn't cost you much for a night. If someone starts a fierce fight in our hotel, he must pay quite more than that." On hearing this, Jian Wushuang was shocked. One needed to pay 100 drops of purple crystal spiritual liquid if one broke a stool. Who would dare to fight in this hotel? There's total chaos in the Tang dynasty. Is there anyone that will pay? Jian Wushuang asked casually. "You must have just arrived at the Tang dynasty, so you don't know our Tang dynasty." The attendant smiled. "Yes, our Tang dynasty is famous for slaughter and doesn't have any bottom line. Actually, it depends on a rule, the law of the jungle. Our Blood Moon Hotel is strong, so those that have a fierce fight in our hotel will have to pay for it. Of course, our hotel is also afraid of some top experts. They can refuse to pay, especially those experts on the Blood Moon list." "What is the Blood Moon list?" Jian Wushuang asked with curiosity. The Blood Moon list is a strength ranking list based on the information collected by our Blood Moon Hotel. 1,000 experts from 21 large prefectures in the whole Tang dynasty are ranked on this list. The weakest is at the peak of the Yang Void realm, while the strongest is an expert of the Saint realm. "They're the real top experts in the Tang dynasty," the attendant answered. 1,000 experts? Jian Wushuang was shocked. "I knew the Blood Moon list was similar to the Earthly Dragon list and Heavenly Dragon list of the Qianzong dynasty, but the Blood Moon list was not based on realm, but strength and cultivation. Moreover, there were 1,000 experts on the list. In comparison, the number of people on the Earthly Dragon list and Heavenly Dragon list was just over 100. Patron, if you're interested in the Blood Moon list, you can spend some purple crystal spiritual liquid on it. It costs 1,000 drops of purple crystal spiritual liquid," the attendant said with a smile. "Okay, give me a copy of it." Jian Wushuang nodded. He would slaughter in the Tang dynasty, so he needed a good understanding of the 1,000 top experts of the Tang dynasty. For an expert of exceptional yin void realm, 1,000 drops of purple crystal spiritual liquid would be all their possessions, but it meant nothing for Jian Wushuang, since several experts at the peak of the Yang Void realm had died in his hands. The attendant gave Jian Wushuang a thick copy of the list. Jian Wushuang started to read it carefully. It only recorded the 1,000 top experts' brief introduction, such as names, cultivation of spiritual power and impressive battle results, but Jian Wushuang spent 2 hours reading it thoroughly. Jian Wushuang could not help but acclaim. There are too many experts. The Tang dynasty lives up to its name as the top empire of the Nanyang continent. Among the 1,000 experts, there were 26 experts of the Saint realm. The experts at the half-saint level accounted for 118 of the total number. Others had reached the peak of the Yang Void realm, and quite a few experts had comprehended the origin. Experts of the Saint realm and the half-saint level definitely belong to the top in the whole Nanyang continent, but in the Tang dynasty, there are a large number of such top experts. Jian Wushuang was shocked indeed. There were only a few experts of the Saint Realm and the Half-Saint Realm in the top sects, such as the Wilderness Sword Sect and the Deluo Heaven Sect. Yet the Tang dynasty had 26 experts of the Saint Realm. What did this mean? It was no wonder that Wang Yuan had said the Tang dynasty was much more powerful than the 8 top sects, and even Alchemy School and Holy Emperor Palace held it in awe. In fact, most of the half-saint experts or experts at the peak of the Yang Void Realm in Tang dynasty came from the old sects in the Nanyang continent. The Tang dynasty was considered as a place for training. Those who wanted to break through to the Saint Realm came here, so the Tang dynasty had a considerable number of experts. It's awesome. The Blood Moon list is really awesome. Jian Wushuang acclaimed. Since this list is made by the Blood Moon Hotel and holds absolute authority, the Blood Moon Hotel must be the top force in the Tang dynasty. The Earthly Dragon list and Heavenly Dragon list was set by Golden Dragon Palace, the first overlord in the Qianzong dynasty. After all, people were only convinced of the lists made by the real powerful forces. The Blood Moon Hotel could compile it, which proved its strength. That was why the Blood Moon Hotel dared to hang such a plaque. Besides the experts of the Saint Realm and the half-saint experts, most of the 1,000 experts are at the peak of the Yang Void Realm and might be stronger than Mo Lingtian and Chen Feng that I had a fight with. I wonder what ranking I will have on the Blood Moon list. Jian Wushuang thought with expectation. At this moment, the footsteps came over. Then a purple-clothed woman surrounded by a group of figures stepped inside. After walking into the hotel, the purple-clothed woman looked around and immediately fixed her eyes on Jian Wushuang. Chapter 276, You Will Die. Chapter 276, You Will Die. I'm Dong Yu from the Bloodseeker Gang, the purple-clothed woman said while staring at Jian Wushuang. Oh! Jian Wushuang looked toward her. Dong Yu had reached the Yang Void Realm and was accompanied by several experts of the Yin Void Realm. I heard that you killed Qing Ling and Qing Hai with one stroke. I know you're powerful, so I came to invite you to join our Bloodseeker Gang, Dong Yu said directly. Oh! Jian Wushuang raised his brow and immediately asked, Who is the leader of your Bloodseeker Gang? Our leader is Bloodseeker Xiao Gang. Everyone around Devil Heart City knows him, Dong Yu replied with a hint of pride. After hearing this name, Jian Wushuang shook his head. He had an excellent memory, so he had already memorized the 1,000 top experts' names after reading through the list. Obviously, there was no one called Xiao Gang. Jian Wushuang could not take Xiao Gang seriously, because the man had not climbed into the list. Sorry, I'm not interested. Jian Wushuang refused straightforwardly. Dong Yu looked disappointed and said again, You must know that Qing Ling and Qing Hai belonged to the Hungry Wolf Gang. Based on their history, they will come to pick a fight with you. I've seen the experts of the Hungry Wolf Gang outside when I came here. If you go with me, you might have a chance to survive. Or, you will die as soon as you step outside. Really? Jian Wushuang smiled. I desperately want to know how I will die. Since you've made up your mind, I don't need to persuade you. See you. Dong Yu immediately left with her people. You should have accepted her invitation, the attendant said. She is right. The Hungry Wolf Gang is quite powerful in Devil Heart City. It is led by 6 leaders and all of them are experts at the peak of the Yang Void Realm, so they're extremely aggressive. If you kill their people, they will definitely kill you, so you'd better join the Bloodseeker Gang, which can fight against the Hungry Wolf Gang. All of the 6 chiefs are at the peak of the Yang Void Realm? I wonder how many experts they have on the list. Jian Wushuang asked casually. None. The attendant shook his head. On hearing that, Jian Wushuang gave a faint smile without saying a word. He took out a pot of wine from his interspatial ring and drank alone. After an hour, he was about to leave the Blood Moon Hotel. Good luck, the attendant said. Jian Wushuang smiled. The moment he walked out of the hotel, he immediately perceived that he was targeted by many people. Waiting to kill me, Jian Wushuang thought with a faint smile on his face. The Blood Moon Hotel enjoyed unusual status in the whole Tang dynasty. When he had stayed in the hotel, experts of the Hungry Wolf Gang did not dare to start a fight. If they broke a stool, they would pay 100 drops of purple crystal spiritual liquid, so they were afraid that a fierce fight would cost too much. Once Jen Wushuang left the hotel, the experts of the Hungry Wolf Gang would not have such concerns. Missed the chance to live. Now, let's see how he courts death. Under the eaves of a shabby house, Dong Yu and some experts of the Bloodseeker gang stood there and fixed their eyes on Jen Wushuang. Crack. As the crack of the wine bowl explosion came out, dozens of figures appeared around Jen Wushuang in the blink of an eye. Jen Wushuang was targeted by their killing intent. Dozens of strokes slashed toward Jen Wushuang. When he raised his head, he found himself being blocked by those figures and had no opportunity to escape. In fact, he did not need to escape. The triple kill sword on Jen Wushuang's back was unsheathed, with a blast of roaring sword essence. Then a streak of sword light shone so brightly that the attackers could not help but close their eyes. The streak of sword light easily passed by the attackers. Peng! 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 Those attackers fell one by one and were instantly killed. Chew! 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 The three blasts of sound pierced the air, as if they converged into one. Jen Wushuang narrowed his eyes and suddenly stepped back. 3 strokes just passed by him, crashed into the ground, and immediately exploded. Jen Wushuang found that these were 3 hidden arrows. With black liquid on the arrow tips, these arrows were highly toxic. Hee, how clever. Jen Wushuang smiled slightly and disappeared instantly. The next moment, boom, like a bomb, a figure violently hit the ground in the center of the street. It was a short and thin man, who looked gloomy. The man held a bow. Obviously, the 3 toxic arrows were shot by him. Are these all you can do? Anything else? It was Jen Wushuang's voice. Boom. Behind his back, the void suddenly split and a giant axe of raging fire slashed toward Jen Wushuang. An expert at the peak of the Yang Void realm still needs to attack sneakily. Jen Wushuang had a faint smile and turned around to block it. Peng! A loud boom made the strong man who held the giant axe retreat, while Jen Wushuang was still standing there. What? The strong man was shocked when he saw Jen Wushuang easily block his stroke. The 6th leader of the Hungry Wolf Gang? Dong Yu and other experts of the Bloodseeker gang were startled. The peak of the Yang Void realm, you must be a chief of the Hungry Wolf Gang? Jen Wushuang looked toward the strong men with cold eyes. Your Hungry Wolf Gang is really great. But sorry, you pissed off the wrong man. As soon as he finished his words, Jen Wushuang had already disappeared. Where? The strong man kept vigilant for a sudden attack. The moment a cold streak of sword shadow suddenly appeared in front of him, the strong man immediately waved his giant axe to block it with his full strength. However, the streak of sword shadow changed into 3 strokes. When he managed to block only one of them, the other 2 strokes pierced his chest and belly. You dare to kill me? The strong man widened his eyes and stared at Jen Wushuang. My brother will take revenge for me. Your brother? I'll give him a chance. Jen Wushuang wore a cold smile, which was as cruel as a blade. Chapter 277, The Killing Begins. Chapter 277, The Killing Begins. Jen Wushuang slowly walked down the street, leaving piles of corpses behind him. The warriors who had been watching the fighting along street were horrified, including members of the Bloodseeker gang. They thought that as soon as Jen Wushuang left Blood Moon Hotel, he would die. But now, the 6th leader of the Hungry Wolf Gang, an expert in the peak of the Yang Void realm, was killed. The Hungry Wolf Gang. Jen Wushuang slowly moved on while repeating the name in his heart. There are 6 experts in the peak of the Yang Void realm in this gang, but none of them is on the Blood Moon list. They are not a threat to me. Now that they provoked me, I don't mind wiping them out here and now. Since I just arrived in the Tang dynasty, I'll take the Hungry Wolf Gang as my first target. The knight witnessed a horrible scene in a large courtyard in the center of Devil Heart City, which was also the Hungry Wolf Gang's lair. Several corpses lay on the ground in the courtyard, and among them was the tall man who had been killed by Jen Wushuang. The young man is in his early 20s and only in the initial Yang Void realm, but he has killed so many experts of our gang and even killed 6th brother, a stout man with tanned skin and brown hair said, staring down at the corpses. His eyes were grim and cold. He is so young yet so powerful. He must be a talented disciple of those old sects, a real genius. Nevertheless, no matter what background he has, it won't help him in the Tang dynasty. How dare he kill sixth bro? Find him right now. Get him and kill him even if you turn the city upside down, shouted the brown-haired man. Yes, sir, the members of the gang responded immediately. Suddenly. No need to find me. An emotionless voice echoed in the yard, and with the sound appeared a figure in black. I'm the one you're looking for. Jian Wushuang gazed at the experts of the Hungry Wolf gang with his cold voice echoing across the whole yard. From today on, there will be no Hungry Wolf gang. How arrogant. Kill him. The brown-haired man roared. The other experts of the Hungry Wolf gang immediately leaped toward Jian Wushuang like real wolves. Jian Wushuang squinted at those experts, the triple-kill sword trembling feverishly in his hand. The killing begins. While Jian Wushuang was fighting with the experts of the Hungry Wolf gang, two figures passed by the top of the void above them. They looked very strong and happened to be passing by Devil Heart City. Just as soon as they arrived, they were immediately attracted by the fighting. They looked down, observing the fighting below. But in their eyes, it was more like a slaughter than a fight. They saw a young man in black, who was bursting with an overwhelming killing intent under the siege of many warriors. With the flashes of the sword sweeping out, the man killed one Hungry Wolf gang expert every time the sword flashed. The two figures slowed down involuntarily. One of them was a demonic youth in a purple robe. When he gazed at the slaughtering below, a bloodthirsty smile appeared on his face. But the other one looked indifferent. How interesting. This young man is just in the initial Yang Void realm, but he killed so many experts under siege. Not only that, there are 5 experts in the peak of Yang Void realm among his opponents, the purple-robed youth said with excitement. Even if it's us that were being attacked by so many experts, we couldn't be as calm as him. He is very powerful, said the emotionless man in a low voice. You're right. The youth nodded with a strong fighting desire in his eyes. I'd love to fight with him. The people in the Tang dynasty were so crazy about killing, and many of them were lunatics keen for battle. This purple-robed youth was one of them. The slaughter in the courtyard was drawing to an end. Jian Wushuang's killing intent filled the air. His black clothes turned red with blood, and around him lay dense corpses. The Hungry Wolf gang possessed many experts, but it was exterminated by Jian Wushuang in a short while. Even the chiefs of the gang and the several experts at the peak of the Yang Void realm were also killed by him. Jian Wushuang showed no mercy to these people. He once experienced the test of the illusory realm of slaughter in his ancestors' land. That slaughter was much more frenzied than this one, but he still persevered in his way of killing. As for these people, none of them was innocent, as many lives had been lost at their hands during their adventure and killing. Thus, Jian Wushuang felt no guilt about killing them. You two have been watching for so long. It's time to come out. Jian Wushuang suddenly raised his head up and said. The two men above the void dived down and showed up in front of Jian Wushuang. They had both reached the peak of the Yang Void realm, and the killing intent of the purple-robed demonic youth was particularly strong. It's very powerful of you to destroy a gang all by yourself, especially one under the charge of several experts at the peak of the Yang Void realm, said the purple-robed youth with a smile. Just SOSO. What do you want from me? Jian Wushuang asked impassively. Haha, it's hard to come across an expert like you who's strong enough to be listed in the Blood Moon list. I can't let you go before we have a fight, said the purple-robed youth with a grin. Oh. Squinting his eyes, Jian Wushuang was not surprised. There were so many crazy people in the Tang dynasty that it was normal for a warlike man to challenge an expert he met. After finishing his speech, the purple-robed youth rushed toward Jian Wushuang like a purple thunderbolt. Just in a moment, the thunderbolt crossed over 30 meters and came up close to Jian Wushuang, cracking the void in front of him and revealing a stone cudgel surrounded with thunderbolt power. Boom! Boom! The power kept surging and rushing. So fast. Jian Wushuang was shocked, but he retreated quickly the moment the stone cudgel chopped toward him. The cudgel eventually smashed the void. Seeing this, the purple-robed youth smiled grimly, and in an instant, a giant thunder dragon came out of the cudgel and dashed toward Jian Wushuang roaring. Oh! Jian Wushuang's heart pounded. He was quite amazed at the purple-robed youth's strength. Though he hasn't comprehended the origin, he is very excellent in comprehending the thunderbolt essence. What's more, his cultivation method and skills not only are quite superb, but also performed with thunderbolt power. Thus, he is absolutely as strong as the experts who had comprehended the origin and were in the peak of the young void realm. Jian Wushuang looked grim. He drew back hastily, but the dragon kept chasing him. Chapter 278 – An Invitation. Chapter 278 – An Invitation. With a leap, Jian Wushuang landed on the roof, and the thunder dragon quickly followed him. Crack! The dragon swept over the roof, and under its powerful attack, the roof was smashed into pieces. After rapidly flying around the rooftop, Jian Wushuang returned to the purple-robed youth. With a terrifying killing intent, Jian Wushuang slashed at the youth with his sword, his great power behind it. The purple-robed youth remained calm and brandished the stone cudgel once more. With a rumbling boom, the thunderbolt's power exploded fiercely, and yet, the cudgel was knocked away by Jian Wushuang's sword. As soon as Jian Wushuang beat back the youth, he found that the emotionless man was upon him before he could attack the youth further. All at once, a shaft of black light appeared which quickly transformed into a thread, both chilling and terrifying. Seeing the black light, Jian Wushuang could not help but frown. He instantly stamped the ground with his feet. Where he stamped, the ground would crackle. He suddenly retreated back, and at the same time, raised the triple-kill sword. With this move, a towering giant appeared behind him out of thin air, wielding a sword of its own, which proceeded to attack the two. The strike was so powerful that the youth and the emotionless man were both shocked and were forced to defend themselves at the same time. Bang! The powerful roar echoed between heaven and earth. The whole of Devil Heart City trembled at that very moment. Whoosh! 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 3 flowing lights fell back all at once and stood firm in the void. Their positions set in 3 different directions. Sword in one hand, Jian Wushuang stared the other 2 down impassively. His eyes, however, glittered with excitement. The purple-robed youth was burning with the pure desire for battle. But after a moment, he was able to control that desire, suppressing it. That's enough. Stop the fighting, the emotionless man said, and then looked at Jian Wushuang. Gentlemen, we meant no harm. My brother was simply born too warlike for his own good, unable to suppress his desire for battle. But it certainly doesn't go as far as to the death. The purple-robed youth gave Jian Wushuang a grin. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes, then nodded himself. He had noticed that as well. These 2 men fought against him with plenty of restraint. It had become obvious through their blows that neither had intended to fight seriously. Since that's the case, both of you are free to leave, Jian Wushuang said in a cold voice. However, the 2 didn't move. You are a truly mighty expert. In a one-on-one fight, my brother and I alone are no match for you, said the emotionless man. With such strength, your name must be mentioned quite often in the Tang dynasty. Yet I'm confused about which one on the Blood Moon list should be you. Blood Moon list? Jian Wushuang shook his head. I arrived in the Tang dynasty today, so I am not on the list. Oh! Their eyes lit up. Then, your name? Asked the emotionless man. Swordsman, replied Jian Wushuang. Swordsman? The emotionless man nodded and said, I am Bei Mu, and my brother is called Leng Yang. Both of us come from the Heartless sect. Bei Mu and Leng Yang? Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. He had seen those names on the Blood Moon list before. Leng Yang had been ranked 864th on the list. Bei Mu had been ranked 713th on the list. The 2 had both been outstanding experts with rather high rankings on the list. No wonder they are so strong. They turned out to be the experts on the Blood Moon list. Jian Wushuang thought with approving admiration. There were so many experts within this dynasty that an ordinary expert in the peak of the Young Void realm was not worth mentioning. After all, he had killed 6 of them just in one day. But it was another story for the experts in the same realm on the Blood Moon list. They were much stronger than the former. Just like the warriors of the Gold Core realm on the Earthly Dragon list of the Qianzong dynasty, the warriors on the Blood Moon list could best all the others who had achieved the same tier. The same was true of the experts at the peak of the young void realm on the Blood Moon list. Swordsman, you seem to be a bit stronger than even us. To stay in such a small city is nothing short of wasting your many talents, said Bei Mu, looking at Jian Wushuang. As I see it, you might as well follow us to the Heartless sect, he continued, since our sect is one of the 4 great powers in the Skywave Prefecture. Besides, there's a raging battle with another force ongoing. You can display your talent to its fullest if you were to go there. The Heartless sect. Upon hearing the name, Jian Wushuang immediately recalled a person, the master of Heartless sect, a half-saint expert who was ranked 118th on the Blood Moon list. So, what do you think? Both Bei Mu and Leng Yang both appeared confident, likely expecting a positive reply. Since their sect had recently been fighting a fierce battle with another great force, they certainly had an urgent need for more experts. Since that was the case, any experts that qualified to be on the Blood Moon list, such as Jian Wushuang, would undoubtedly be well received. Jian Wushuang pondered for a moment before finally nodding. Very well, I shall follow you. Hearing this, Bei Mu and Leng Yang glanced at one another with satisfied grins before turning back to Jian Wushuang with happy smiles on their faces. How soon can you depart? Asked Bei Mu. Please wait for a moment, I'll be ready to leave soon, Jian Wushuang answered. Okay. Bei Mu and Leng Yang waited where they were while Jian Wushuang left for the void nearby. In a modest room in the Devil Heart City, a black-robed youth leaned on a corner drinking. Suddenly, with a long sword upon his back, Jian Wushuang appeared in front of the youth. The black-robed youth raised his head, revealing a face as same as Jian Wushuang's. Through sheer force of will, Jian Wushuang and the youth soon merged into a single body. No one knew that the man who had slaughtered the Hungry Wolf gang, and later fought both Bei Mu and Leng Yang to a standstill, had just been a slaughter doppelganger of Jian Wushuang. As for himself, he had been in that room since the very beginning. Jian Wushuang slowly swayed the wine pot. Bei Mu is right. Destroying the strongest gang in the Devil Heart City, the Hungry Wolf gang, was so easy for me. I can't put my talent to use here at all. But the Heartless sect, it's one of the 4 great powers in the Skywave Prefecture. There is an average of 50 experts on the Blood Moon list for every one of the 21 prefectures in the Tang dynasty. In Skywave Prefecture alone, I could guess there were at most 50 experts that come from the 4 powers. Only there can see more experts. Considering the intricacy of the powers of the Tang dynasty, most experts and warriors would choose to join forces with them in particular. That was exactly what Jian Wushuang planned to do as well. As for the Bloodseeker gang, a gang without even one expert on the Blood Moon list and had also invited him to join during the day, they no longer suited his tastes. The Heartless sect was far more qualified to present him an invitation, which was exactly why he accepted their invitation. Having made up his mind, Jian Wushuang came back to the Hungry Wolf gang's nest and saw Bei Mu and Leng Yang still waiting there. Hey, let's go. Jian Wushuang smiled. Upon seeing Jian Wushuang, Bei Mu and Leng Yang both felt that his aura seemed to have changed somewhat, but they didn't pay much attention. With Jian Wushuang now in tow, the 3 headed to the Heartless sect. Chapter 279, The Heartless Sect. Chapter 279, The Heartless Sect. The Heartless Sect headquartered in the Heartless City within the Skywave Prefecture. Brother Swordsman, we will arrive in the Heartless City quite soon. When we meet with our master, I shall recommend you to him as a protector of our sect. Your strength is more than enough to qualify you to be a protector, said Leng Yang on the way to the Heartless City. Jian Wushuang softly smiled at him. He had heard a bit about the Heartless sect from the 2 along the way. He quite aware that the most prominent figure in the sect was, of course, the master of Heartless sect, a half-saint expert. Below him came the protectors. There were 8 protectors in total, each of them being the top expert on the Blood Moon list. As a matter of fact, both Bei Mu and Leng Yang were protectors. Here we are, said Bei Mu. Jian Wushuang had also seen the huge city on the horizon. As the headquarters of the Heartless sect, Heartless City was much larger than Devil Heart City. Not even mentioning how heavily guarded it was. Protector Bei Mu, Protector Leng Yang. The warriors of the Heartless sect passing by all respectfully greeted Bei Mu and Leng Yang when the two led Jian Wushuang into the city. Soon, they came into a manners meeting hall. Inside, the master of the Heartless sect, a lean purple-haired old man, was discussing something important with several other protectors when Jian Wushuang followed Bei Mu and Leng Yang into the hall. "Your Excellency, we are back," called Leng Yang. His disposition had always been more straightforward. Leng Yang, Bei Mu. Seeing their appearance, the master gave a pleasant smile and stopped the discussion temporarily. "Your Excellency, please allow me to introduce you to my new brother, Swordsman." "We met along the way," said Leng Yang. Both the master and the protectors looked toward Jian Wushuang with curiosity. So young. That was their first impression of Jian Wushuang. "Your Excellency, he may be young, he is already very powerful. Bei Mu and I have decided to recommend him to Your Excellency as the 9th protector of our sect," Leng Yang said. "Yeah, we did." Bei Mu gave a slight nod. Oh. Both the master of the Heartless sect and the protectors were amazed at the recommendation. Only the experts on the Blood Moon list or those comparable to them could hold the post of protector. They never heard the name Swordsman before, so the name obviously had never been on the Blood Moon list. "Young man, you appear to barely be in your early 20s. Could it be that you have reached the peak of the Yang Void realm at such a ripe age?" The master turned to Jian Wushuang and asked. "The peak of the Yang Void realm? No, Your Excellency." Shaking his head, Jian Wushuang continued, "I'm only now in the initial Yang Void realm." "Well." The master raised his eyebrows. The protectors beside the master began to sneer at Jian Wushuang directly. One grim-looking mustached protector in snow-white marten coat said, "Is this some kind of joke, Leng Yang, Bei Mu? Recommending a young man, who has only reached the initial Yang Void realm, as the protector of our sect? We'll be mocked by every faction in the Skywave Prefecture if your recommendation ever leakages from here. Brother Swordsman's realm is indeed not high, but he still has a mighty power. Bei Mu and I couldn't defeat him in a short bout, not when we cooperated. With such strength, wouldn't he be able to be listed on the Blood Moon list?" Leng Yang shot a glance at the grim-looking man. From his expression, others could easily sense his disgust and dissatisfaction. "Humph. You tell me, did you use all of your might to fight against him when you cooperated with Bei Mu?" the grim-looking man asked harshly. "Did you display your Thousand Thunder realm? Did Bei Mu display his triple black light?" "No," Leng Yang replied, shaking his head. It was true that they left some leeway when they fought with Jian Wushuang, and so did Jian Wushuang. Bei Mu and he did not use their special skills, but he believed that Jian Wushuang also held back his real strength. "Well, that's the point. How can you conclude that this young man is on a par with you as you didn't even perform your best skills when fighting with him?" asked the grim-looking man with a vicious sneer. But Leng Yang tried to say something more. "That's enough." The master began to speak, which shut both Leng Yang and the grim-looking man up. "Leng Yang, Bei Mu," the master continued, "since you too highly recommended this young man, I believe he must be talented. I won't have his talent wasted. Wu Ju's Bloody Blade team just so happens to be short-handed, so I suggest that he join the Bloody Blade team first." "Your Excellency," Leng Yang frowned. In his eyes, Jian Wushuang was strong enough to be a protector. "You've said enough." The master stopped Leng Yang, and then he looked at Jian Wushuang and asked, "What do you say, young man?" "I accept." Jian Wushuang nodded without hesitation. In fact, he didn't care about the post of protector at all. What really mattered to him was to steel himself by fighting experts. As long as he could get the chance to challenge experts, it wouldn't matter if he was a protector or not. "Good. Wu Ju, I shall leave this young man in your care. Nurture him well," said the master. "No problem, Your Excellency." The grim-looking man stood up and walked over to Jian Wushuang. In a low voice, he said, "Boy, follow me. Brother Swordsman, you can rest assured. With your strength, you can achieve great things wherever you are," said Leng Yang. Hearing this, a smile formed on Jian Wushuang's lips. He nodded at Leng Yang and then departed with Wu Ju. In the void above the Heartless City, Jian Wushuang walked slowly behind Wu Ju. Boy, let's make this clear, Wu Ju said coldly. I don't care what relationship you have with Lung Yang and Bei Mu. Now that you are on my team, you must obey my orders without question, even if it is the one that tells you to die. If you show any hesitation in following my orders, I will kill you with my own hands on the spot. With an eyebrow cocked, Jian Wushuang smiled slightly but did not respond. It didn't take long for Wu Ju to arrive at a huge courtyard with Jian Wushuang in tow. Tai Shan. Wu Ju yelled with a voice that echoed throughout the courtyard. Almost immediately, a group of people came out from the courtyard led by a man taller than 2 meters. Standing there, the tall man could have been mistaken for a hill. Protector Wu Ju. Tai Shan and the others saluted reverently. Given that you, the 9th team, lost one man recently, I have acquired you a replacement. The man beside me is called Swordsman, a newcomer in our sect. Remember to teach him the rules I set. Wu Ju said and shot a glance at Jian Wushuang before leaving. Chapter 280 Bloody Blade Team. Chapter 280 Bloody Blade Team. After Wu Ju left, the tall man said brightly, Swordsman, I'm Tai Shan. From now on, we are allies, fighting by one another's side. I'm Jiyu Chue. I'm Mo Ying. I'm Dao. The other members of Bloody Blade Team began to introduce themselves. Let's go. Tai Shan spoke. Then they returned to the courtyard and sat around the stone table. The 9th squad was comprised of 10 people and all of them were here. Swordsman, you've just joined Heartless Sect. You probably know little about our sect or our Bloody Blade Team, right? Tai Shan asked. Right. Jian Wushuang shook his head and replied. Let me tell you something about the internal situation of the Tang dynasty. It's full of slaughter. For their own sake, a great number of powerful factions continue to fight one another for their own interests. It is certainly far crazier than the outside world. Fighting for benefits existed everywhere, but it certainly was crazier in the Tang dynasty than most other places. There were many varied forces in the Tang dynasty. Weaker groups would hand over a certain amount of purple crystal spiritual liquid to the stronger factions. It was called monthly supply, and as one might expect, the stronger forces received more monthly supply. Moreover, there was an abundance of natural resources in the Tang dynasty, such as load and numerous natural treasures. These, of course, were possessed by the large forces and factions. In order to gain benefits, every organization had little alternative to fighting for control. Tai Shan added, Our Heartless Sect is one of the 4 factions in Skywave Prefecture. It's also one of the most powerful forces in the Tang dynasty. Our master is a mighty expert who has reached the half-saint level and ranks 118th on the Blood Moon list. Furthermore, there are the 8 protectors who are also top experts on the Blood Moon list. We also have experts at the peak of the Yang Void Realm. Do we have many experts at the peak of the Yang Void Realm? Jian Wushuang asked. Yes, of course. Tai Shan nodded heavily. Many experts are glad to join our sect, one of the 4 factions in Skywave Prefecture, so we have many experts at the peak of the Yang Void Realm. Although I'm not quite clear about the number of them, I think we have at least 200 experts at such level. What? Jian Wushuang suppressed his shock. There were more than 200 experts at the peak of the Yang Void Realm? Even the old sects, the Wilderness Sword Sect and the Deluo Heaven Sect, would never have so many experts at the level. However, a large force in the Tang dynasty could own 200 experts. What could that mean? However, after some careful consideration, Jian Wushuang felt at ease. The Tang dynasty was known as the Slaughterous Dynasty and was also one of the best places to practice for many people, so it was not strange for a large number of top experts to come to the Tang dynasty. It could even be said that in the entire Nanyang continent, at least 30% of experts at the half-saint level or at the peak of the Yang Void Realm gathered in the Tang dynasty, so the Tang dynasty had many experts at such levels. Though the experts could roam around the Tang dynasty, they did not belong to the Tang dynasty, so the amount of force the Tang dynasty could control was only a fragment of a much greater whole. But even with just a small part of the force, it was still far more than enough to make places like the Alchemy School and the Holy Emperor Palace experience a great sense of awe. 200 experts at the peak of the Yang Void Realm. I just made a conservative estimate. Tai Shan smiled. Our Bloody Blade team is the most elite force for the Heartless sect and comprised of 100 people. The minimum requirement of joining our team is battle strength at the peak of the Young Void Realm. A hint of shock flashed past Jian Wushuang's eyes. Everyone in the Bloody Blade team had reached peak of the Young Void Realm. The team consisted of 100 experts. If this were in the Nanyang continent, 3 valleys and 4 temples might not be able to build such a team. However, a single sect within the Tang dynasty could easily make such a force. The Bloody Blade team has 10 squads. Each squad has 10 experts. Now you're in the 9th squad and I'm the leader. They're your teammates, Tai Shan said with a smile. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly and asked, Protector Wu Ju just said he set some rules. What rules? Rules? Tai Shan sneered. Well, Wu Ju controls our Bloody Blade team, so all of us must follow his orders. The rules he set up are quite simple, that is, don't question what he said and don't hesitate to obey his orders. Otherwise, your life would, and will, become miserable. Oh. Jian Wushuang looked toward him. I've been in the Bloody Blade team for more than 1 year. I've seen a leader was killed by Wu Ju because he hesitated for a while after receiving an order, Tai Shan added. I heard that Wu Ju has ordered Bloody Blade team to kill enemies. A powerful protector was opposed to Wu Ju, but ended up slain. After that, many people speculated it was Wu Ju who led 2 squads and killed the protector in secret. But they haven't gotten any evidence, so this case has remained unsettled. Jian Wushuang was somewhat shocked. Wu Ju really is quite overbearing. Those are the rules he set. Truth is, he has such power because he's strong. If you're stronger than him, you can do whatever you want, and even disobeying his orders is entirely possible, Tai Shan said. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. That was the truth. There were no rules for powerful experts in other places, let alone for somewhere such as the Tang dynasty. Well, swordsman, you're so young, but you are still able to join our team. You must be strong, right? Tai Shan suddenly asked. The other 8 teammates looked toward him with great interest. Jian Wushuang could not help but laugh. He had already understood what they meant. After a while, Jian Wushuang started sparring with his teammates. Chapter 281, Bloody Blade Team, set off. Chapter 281, Bloody Blade Team, set off. After 3 days, Jian Wushuang sat on the ground, with his legs crossed, in the center of the yard where the 9th squad lived. He was surrounded by heavy fog, which was transformed by sword essence. A realm of sword essence covered an area of around a dozen meters. A large amount of grey fog began to gather together. It became denser and denser, almost condensing into the water. In the end, the grey fog gradually dissipated. I'm still a step away from it. Jian Wushuang shook his head. As for 3 movement of the sword realm, the first move, sword fog, was easily comprehended. He had mastered it after practicing for 3 days. However, it was quite difficult for him to master sword tide and sword sea, the second move and the third move respectively. Few people had mastered the second move in the Deluo Heaven sect. Although Jian Wushuang had a peerless gift in his sword principle, he could not master the second move in such a short time. After all, he had just gained this sword skill. Jian Wushuang stood up and walked toward the stone table. 2 members of his squad were drinking by the table. Watching Jian Wushuang come over, one of them smiled and called out. Swordsman, you've practiced for half a day and haven't taken a break. Are you practicing too hard? What do you know? If he had not practiced so hard, how would he have ever gained such strength at his age? The other member replied. They both treated Jian Wushuang with great enthusiasm and warm respect. 3 days ago, when he just arrived here, Jian Wushuang fought with his teammates in a series of light bouts. They had not taken the fight seriously at first when they discovered Jian Wushuang had just reached the initial Young Void Realm. However, when the fight began, they were shocked by the sheer battle potential Jian Wushuang could bring. Except for Tai Shan, who barely managed to force a draw with Jian Wushuang, the other 8 teammates were defeated one after another. They hadn't known, however, that Jian Wushuang did not use his full strength even then. Come on, have a drink. Then Jian Wushuang sat by the table and started to drink with them. After a while, a tall and strong figure appeared by their side. It was Tai Shan. "Come on out." Tai Shan spoke loudly enough to be heard throughout the entire courtyard. The team members began walking out of their rooms and came to the stone table. "Boss, what happened?" Mo Ying asked. Jian Wushuang looked toward Tai Shan. "I've just received news that another protector was killed last night," Tai Shan replied seriously. "What?" Such news shocked everyone, though they didn't allow it to show. It was unexpected that a protector of the Heartless sect, who was a top expert on the Blood Moon list, was killed. "Which protector died?" Jian Wushuang asked. "Protector Su Lang," Tai Shan answered. Su Lang ranked well over the 900th position, and was considered the weakest of the 8 protectors. Protector Su Lang could have carried out his task. No one knows how the Demon's Island found his location. "He was killed by the 3 devils of Demon's Island," Tai Shan added. Jian Wushuang was a little bit surprised. Both the Heartless sect and Demon's Island belonged to the 4 factions of Skywave Prefecture. Bei Mu and Leng Yang had said that Heartless sect had many fierce fights with Demon's Island. Demon's Island was not weaker than Heartless sect. Their island master was also an expert at the half-saint level, and the 7 devils were experts on the Blood Moon list. It was little wonder how Su Lang had not been able to escape when pressed by 3 devils at once. Protector Su Lang was killed. After receiving the news, our master and the other protector were furious, and must be planning to take revenge on Demon's Island. "They'll probably need us, so we should prepare for it," Tai Shan explained. On hearing this, the experts of the team were not nervous, but instead, rather excited. "Finally, it's our turn. The last time we got out was half a month ago already. Haha, let the battle be vicious and bloody." The experts talked and laughed. Jian Wushuang wore a slight smile, with a flicker of expectation in his eyes. Sure enough, the call came just half a day later. "Bloody Blade Team, assemble." A loud voice rang out above Heartless City, causing a turmoil throughout the city. The experts of Bloody Blade Team, who had been prepared, leaped up that very same moment. The 10 squads had assembled in the blink of an eye. The middle-aged Wu Ju stood in front of the experts, with 2 other protectors by his side. One of the protectors was Bei Mu. Wu Ju glanced at experts with cold eyes. Then he waved his hand. "Move out." Wu Ju and the 2 protectors led the Bloody Blade Team out of Heartless City. There are 3 protectors and 100 experts at the peak of the Yang Void Realm. Just what are we going to do? Are we launching a frontal attack against Demon's Island? Jian Wushuang mumbled. "I doubt it's just a frontal assault." Tai Shan shook his head. "Our Bloody Blade Team is the trump card of Heartless sect. If we weren't aiming for a decisive battle, we would have never set out." Whatever he does, I will follow the 3 protectors' orders," Mo Ying beside Jian Wushuang said. Although they still were unclear as to what their mission was, they were still excited. After half a day, they arrived before a city. "That is Golden Wing City?" Tai Shan frowned and asked, "Isn't Golden Wing City the territory of the Wing Gang? What are we doing here?" "Wing Gang?" The other squads also felt surprised. Wing Gang was also a powerful force in Skywave Prefecture. It had 2 masters who had managed to enter their names upon the Blood Moon list. One of their masters, Shen Tianyu, ranked higher than the other. Except for the 2 masters, their force's strength was rather ordinary. The Wing Gang was much weaker than Heartless sect or Demon's Island. "Listen." Wu Ju suspended in front of the experts and said in a cold voice, "Yesterday, Protector Su Lang was killed by experts from Demon's Island. According to our reliable information, it's the Wing Gang which told the Protector's location to Demon's Island, so our duty today is to wipe out the Wing Gang and butcher their 2 masters." Chapter 282, Blocking Him. Chapter 282, Blocking Him. Understood. The experts of Bloody Blade Team were finally clear about their task. The Wing Gang was their target. It was no wonder that they came to Golden Wing City. "Listen," Wu Ju said in a low voice, "the 1st and 6th squads follow me into the lair of Wing Gang. the other 4 squads go and hold the 4 gates of the city. The 7th squad go to the east gate. The 8th squad go the west gate. The 9th squad go to the south gate. The 10th squad go to the north gate. Anyone that dares to escape, slaughter without forgiveness, go. After Wu Ju gave the order, he and the other 2 protectors immediately led the 6 squads into Golden Wing City. The remaining squads stood there and looked at each other with resignation. After a while, the deafening roars came out from every corner of the city, indicating that the war had broken out. Near the south gate of Golden Wing City, the 9th squad quietly suspended themselves above the void and watched the fierce fight inside the city with gruesome looks. Bastards, they can slaughter in the city while we hold here. Mo Ying curled his lips. Well, that's the Wu Ju's order, we can't disobey it. Tai Shan spoke with a wry look. They thought they could have a fierce fight and enjoy slaying their foes, but never expected things to turn out like this. The other 6 squads ran amok, slaughtering crazily in the city, while they had to wait outside. Just wait and see. This war has only just begun. Wing Gang is barely hanging on, but they won't fight for long. The experts of Wing Gang will break and flee in a crazy panic soon enough. Then we'll carry out our duties, Zhen Wushuang said with a smile. Though it'll be like that, we still won't be able to enjoy the slaughter within the city, Mo Ying murmured. Say no more and wait patiently. Even if we can't join this fight, we'll wait for the next time, Tai Shan said, so the other experts no longer complained about it. After an hour, a voice loudly echoed, "Run." The voice rang out across the city. Then numerous experts of Wing Gang started to run away in a shattered retreat. Go to the north gate. Hurry. As the shout came out, a large number of experts ran toward the north gate, like bees. Looking at this, the experts of the 9th squad knew that their last hope was shattered. The experts of Wing Gang are running toward the north gate, opposite to us. It looks like that we won't have a chance to fight. Mo Ying curled his lips again. The others also felt disappointed. They were eager for a fierce fight, but they didn't get the chance. However, at the moment, Zhen Wushuang suddenly raised his head, so did the other experts. They saw a figure leap out above the void and dashed in their direction. Haha, we still have an opportunity. There's one left for us. Mo Ying grinned. Obviously, the man was escaping from Golden Wing City. He must belong to the Wing Gang. This man, Tai Shan raised his brow and looked toward the man. The next moment, he was shocked. It is Shen Tianyu, the chief of Wing Gang. What? The other experts were startled and looked toward the man with expressions of shock and worry. As the figure got closer, they could clearly see his appearance. The man, with a head of short hair and bushy whiskers, held a cyan saber with a roaring breath. He looked the same as Shen Tianyu indeed. That's him, without a doubt. Tai Shan's face fell. How sly he is. He asks all the experts to escape from the north gate while he himself is quietly running to the south gate. I'm afraid our protectors haven't uncovered the ruse yet. Boss, what shall we do? A teammate asked. What else can we do? Block him. Tai Shan shouted in a low voice. The 9th squad immediately darted to Shen Tianyu. Shen Tianyu was running like a drowned rat, his eyes were cold and vicious, but his appearance was in a shambles. I thought our Wing Gang did well in this covert operation, and didn't expect that the Heartless sect would discover it. Alas! If I had known this outcome, I would have never disclosed Su Lang's position to Demon's Island. If I hadn't, our Wing Gang would not have been annihilated this day. Shen Tianyu felt regretful, but now, it was useless. He only hoped that he could survive in this attack. At that moment, he saw 10 figures rushing to him. Shen Tianyu's face changed. The Heartless sect is really prudent. I didn't expect that they arranged their people outside. But a small squad cannot block me. Shen Tianyu snorted. Then his tremendous killing intent emitted out. Stop him. Tai Shan shouted, a huge copper hammer appearing in his hand. The hammer looked heavy, weighing around 5,000 kilograms, but it could be easily waved by Tai Shan. Surrounded by circles of fire waves, the hammer directly lashed against Shen Tianyu with a fiery bombardment. The other teammates launched their attacks, using all their strength. They had not planned to be able to directly kill Shen Tianyu with their efforts, as they knew that Shen Tianyu was a top expert on the Blood Moon list and could slaughter a large number of experts at the peak of the Young Void Realm. Therefore, their squad only expected that they could block Shen Tianyu and pray for the three protectors' arrival. Faced with their attacks, Shen Tianyu just sneered and waved his cyan saber. "Get out of my way!" A huge knife shadow, covering half of the sky, dashed out, as if it had split the heaven and earth in two. The scary power shattered their attacks and even sent them flying in an instant. This was all accomplished with but a single stroke. "A group of trash wanted to block me?" Shen Tianyu glared with disdain and continued to move forward. Suddenly, a black figure blocked his way. It was Jian Wushuang. The other 9 teammates had struck a blow to block Shen Tianyu, but only Jian Wushuang had not shown a move. "Ah, another fly." Shen Tianyu did not bother glancing at Jian Wushuang, and instead immediately launched an attack. Jian Wushuang's eyes suddenly became cold. Chapter 283, Leave this man to me. Chapter 283, Leave this man to me. Shen Tianyu ranks 489th on the Blood Moon list and has comprehended Gale Source. He had a fierce fight with a half-saint expert for a long time, even though he lost. This man was qualified for me to use my full strength. Jian Wushuang recalled the information about Shen Tianyu, as a powerful battle intent emanated from his body. Buzzing, a cold streak of blade light split the void and appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang curled his lips and evoked his spiritual power. When his arm was full of power, he waved slightly. Then his triple kill sword, carrying great momentum, lashed out. Shen Tianyu had not put him in his eyes. He had beaten away the Taishan and the other 8 with one stroke. Even an ordinary expert at the peak of the Young Void Realm could not block his casual strike. However, the moment his opponent's stroke collided with his saber, Shen Tianyu suddenly raised his head in surprise, because he felt a strong power come over. Thump! Shen Tianyu was forced to retreat nearly 100 meters away before he could stabilize his body above the void. "Master, a real expert." Shen Tianyu looked toward Jian Wushuang seriously. With just one stroke, he had perceived that Jian Wushuang was at least stronger than Taishan and the other 8. "Who are you?" Shen Tianyu asked in a low voice. "Swordsman," Jian Wushuang replied. "I've never heard of you." Shen Tianyu shook his head. "Now you know." Jian Wushuang sneered. That sounds arrogant. "You dare to block me, then you'll die." Shen Tianyu's eyes became cold and his body floated up in the blink of an eye, with a gust of wind from the void. "Leave this man to me." Jian Wushuang spoke to the surprised Taishan and Mo Ying. Then with a stride, the triple kill sword's power roared and slashed forward. There was nothing in the void. However, a ghost-like figure appeared in this void after Jian Wushuang struck the blow. It turned out to be Shen Tianyu. His saber light crashed with Jian Wushuang's, causing a loud sound. As the scary power spread out, whoosh, whoosh, the two figures unexpectedly disappeared. "Where are they?" The other 9 teammates widened their eyes and stared in shock. Shen Tianyu had frightened them, while Jian Wushuang shocked even more. They had failed to block Shen Tianyu, but Jian Wushuang could block him by himself. Jian Wushuang suddenly appeared above the void. A streak of white light appeared. It was so dazzling that Jian Wushuang could not open his eyes. At this moment, the streak of light unexpectedly swept through Jian Wushuang's head. "Huh!" Taishan and the other 8 teammates could not help exclaiming. "Is Jian Wushuang going to die?" In fact, they did not see a drop of blood, but Jian Wushuang's body was slowly disappearing. It was just a shadow. A cold streak of sword shadow suddenly appeared behind Shen Tianyu. Shen Tianyu perceived it and turned his hand over to block it. With a loud bang, the two of them disappeared again. How fast? Taishan and the other 8 teammates were stunned by what happened. Chew! A deep ravine suddenly appeared on the ground. Obviously, it was caused by the long sword. Then with a loud boom, another deep hole appeared. Though they were experts at the peak of the Young Void Realm and were looking carefully, they could not see the two figures. Boom! The void split in half. Shen Tianyu was suspended above the void and looking at Jian Wushuang seriously. He no longer looked down on Jian Wushuang. He's just reached the initial Yang Void realm. It's out of my expectation that he could catch up with me. Shen Tianyu thought in astonishment, because he himself had comprehended Gale Source. If one studied Gale Essence to the limit, one could comprehend Gale Source. Gale Source could improve speed. If he used his full strength into his speed, the ordinary half-saint experts might not catch up with him. However, Jian Wushuang, who was just at the initial Yang Void realm, was not slower than him. Shen Tianyu did not know that Jian Wushuang had comprehended world origin, which was a perfect combination of 4 kinds of essence. It meant that he was adept at each aspect, including speed. More importantly, Jian Wushuang had reached momentum, much higher than Shen Tianyu's. Don't waste time with him, or I'll be in big trouble if the 3 protectors arrive. Shen Tianyu thought. Then he transformed into a gust of wind and dashed out. Boy, let's fight to the death. Shen Tianyu shouted. That's what I wanted. Jian Wushuang sneered and started to launch an attack. Sword fog. A roaring sword essence formed the heavy fog, creating a small realm of sword essence. Shen Tianyu was oppressed by the heavy fog, which affected his speed. What? Shen Tianyu's face changed, but he still maintained his momentum. 1,000 cuts. Go to hell. Shen Tianyu shouted in a low voice. A large amount of spiritual power gathered in his cyan saber and made the saber double in size. With the soaring power, the saber violently lashed out. In the blink of an eye, the heaven and earth split in 2. Selfless sword technique, 6th move. Jian Wushuang's battle strength reached the peak. The power of his triple kill sword burst out at this moment. A brilliant stroke moved forward. The 2 horrifying forces made the onlookers hold their breath. Instantly, 2 massive and horrible forces fiercely collided in the void. Boom! It shook the earth and mountain, with a severe gale blowing. The next moment, a figure was repelled, who spat out a mouthful of blood. It was Shen Tianyu. Chapter 284, Fool. Chapter 284, Fool. He defeated me? Shen Tianyu could not believe it. He had tried his best, but lost the fight. As he was retreating, Jian Wushuang had already launched an attack on him. Covered by the heavy fog, Shen Tianyu was not able to move freely, so he looked slow and lifeless. I didn't expect that I would be killed by a nobody. Shen Tianyu stared at Jian Wushuang and said angrily. Nobody? Jian Wushuang said with a sneer, after I kill you, I won't be a nobody. The triple kill sword lashed out and immediately pierced Shen Tianyu's body, leave a big hole in his chest. Shen Tianyu's body fell to the ground. Jian Wushuang stood next to him and looked down. A top expert, who ranked within 500 on the Blood Moon list, is powerful indeed. If he had not been afraid that protectors would come and chosen to perform a frontal attack against me, I would not have killed him so easily. Jian Wushuang thought. He was quite clear that he could kill Shen Tianyu because Shen Tianyu was distracted. He had comprehended origin of the world and slaughter source, which would help him in a frontal attack, but Shen Tianyu was adept at speed, so frontal attacks were his weak point. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Tai Shan and the other 8 teammates appeared beside Jian Wushuang. Shen Tianyu is dead. Tai Shan and Mo Ying looked at the corpse in surprise. Swordsman, you, said Tai Shan, staring at Jian Wushuang in shock. Now they knew Jian Wushuang just fought them for fun at that time. Shen Tianyu ranked high on the Blood Moon list. Only one of our protectors ranks higher than him. Moreover, he had fought with a half-saint expert for a long time. Though he failed, he survived. However, now, he was killed by you. This strength, Mo Ying smacked his lips and sigh. Jian Wushuang could not help but laugh. He had a fight with a half-saint expert from the Wilderness Sword Sect at the gathering of the sects of the northern region. The half-saint expert was strong indeed. He had tried his best to fight, but the top expert just blocked his attack casually. Lastly, he drew with his opponent. Shen Tianyu, who could have a fierce fight with a half-saint expert, was really powerful. Whoosh! A figure rushed over and quickly appeared in front of them. Jian Wushuang and his 9 teammates immediately locked their eyes on it. Protector Wu Ju. Tai Shan immediately spoke. Wu Ju coldly looked at the corpse on the ground. This is Shen Tianyu. Wu Ju narrowed his eyes and said. Wu Ju ranked lower than Shen Tianyu on the Blood Moon list. He and Bei Mu could only suppress Shen Tianyu, but they were not able to kill him. But now, Shen Tianyu was dead. You killed Shen Tianyu? Wu Ju cast a glance at them. The moment Tai Shan opened his mouth and wanted to say that Jian Wushuang killed by himself, Jian Wushuang scrambled to reply. Shen Tianyu was so confident that he did not detect that we ambushed him. We took the chance and worked together to kill him. It took us all of our strength. Oh! Wu Ju looked around and saw quite a few holes, which indicated a fierce fight, so he nodded. Shen Tianyu could not block the attack from one of our squads. He wasn't as strong as I expected. Wu Ju sneered, and then waved his hand to take the corpse and the interspatial ring away. You did well. Just go back to Heartless City by yourselves. After finishing his words, Wu Ju left. Tai Shan and Mo Ying's face darkened. Why? Swordsman killed Shen Tianyu with great effort. Wu Ju just said a few words to us and then took Shen Tianyu and his interspatial ring away. The others all felt it was unfair. Wu Ju had nothing to do with Shen Tianyu's death, but he could take all the trophies away. Shen Tianyu was not only the top expert on the Blood Moon list, but also the chief of Wing Gang. As he had managed the gang for a long time, his interspatial ring must be precious. Swordsman, you just let him go? Mo Ying looked toward Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang just gave a slight smile and said, just some purple crystal spiritual liquid. Even if we get them, we'll have to hand them in. How much shall we have? As long as Wu Ju reports our contribution, our master won't treat us unfairly. Jian Wushuang seemed to not care about it. In fact, he did not care about the purple crystal spiritual liquid indeed. He felt that it was more important to fight against a top expert. Let's go back, Jian Wushuang said. Then they returned to the Heartless sect. Shortly after this, Wu Ju and the other experts of Bloody Blade team also came back. The Bloody Blade team succeeded in this action. They not only rooted out the Wing Gang, but also killed the 2 chiefs of it. After returning, Wu Ju and other 2 protectors immediately went to meet the master of Heartless sect. The 9th squad gathered in their own manner, waiting quietly. Hee, our squad got the limelight because of Swordsman, Mo Ying said with a smile. Swordsman could kill a top expert on the Blood Moon list by himself. I think the name of Swordsman will show up on the list soon. Our squad can benefit from it. I wonder what prize our master will award us. All the members of the 9th team looked forward to it. They had made a great contribution to their sect. Therefore, they should be rewarded. Shortly after, Tai Shan came back, with a bad look. Looking at their teammates, especially Jian Wushuang, Tai Shan wore a complicated expression and spoke after taking a deep breath. We were fooled by Wu Ju. He brought Shen Tianyu to meet our master, but he didn't mention us and said he killed Shen Tianyu with great efforts. Chapter 285, Challenging the Protector. Chapter 285, Challenging the Protector. What? All the members of the 9th squad were furious. He did not even mention us. Ha, he killed Shen Tianyu? That's ridiculous. He did it by himself. Bastard, how dare he claim the honor? Shame on him. Tai Shan and the other teammates were indignant. Then they looked toward Jian Wushuang. They did not really mind if Wu Ju claimed the honor, because Shen Tianyu was not killed by them, but by Jian Wushuang. Swordsman. Ji Yu Yang lowered his voice. Jian Wushuang spoke with a faint smile. I don't care about how he claimed the honor and reward, but he didn't mention my contribution. Does he really treat me as a fool? Jian Wushuang's expression became cold. He could not tolerate such bullying. Obviously, Wu Ju made a fool of them. Bloody Blade team, gather. A resonant voice sounded. Jian Wushuang and the other teammates suddenly raised their heads. It's Wu Ju's voice, Tai Shan said. Come, let's have a look. Jian Wushuang moved forward. In the vast martial arts practice field, Wu Ju sat up straight in a chair, several jars of wine placed by his side. The experts of the Bloody Blade team stood in front of Wu Ju. Wu Ju spoke with a flicker of joy in his eyes. Today, we attacked Wing Gang and swept to victory. Everyone made a contribution. I decided to reward you with jars of Skyheart wine. You can have a drink. Skyheart wine? The legendary Skyheart wine? It's said that a small pot of Skyheart wine is worth more than 1,000 drops of purple crystal spiritual liquid. Such a huge jar equals 10 pots of it, that is to say, it should be worth 10,000 drops of purple crystal spiritual liquid. Looking at the jars of nectar, the other experts began to swallow their saliva, except that the 9th squad sniffed at it. He claimed the honor. Our sect master must have given him a large reward. Now he wants to comfort us with several jars of wine. Tai Shan sneered. How shrewd he is, several teammates said in private. Jian Wushuang shot Wu Ju a glance and lifted up the corner of his mouth. Then he strode forward. Protector Wu Ju. Jian Wushuang spoke while standing opposite Wu Ju. What's the matter? Wu Ju still sat there and glanced at Jian Wushuang. I heard Protector is good at spear techniques and has killed 11 experts at the peak of the Young Void Realm within 15 minutes. Because of it, you entered the Blood Moon list. I wonder whether you dare to have a fight with me. Jian Wushuang spoke so loud that all the experts heard it. The word dare was full of deliberate provocation. If Wu Ju disagreed, the other experts would laugh at him in private and would say a Protector, the top expert on the Blood Moon list, did not even dare to accept the challenge from an ordinary member of Bloody Blade team. How smart Swordsman is, Tai Shan and other teammates said with a smile. The other experts of Bloody Blade team looked at those two with a strange look. Protector Wu Ju, dare he accept it? Wu Ju's face turned red with anger. He knew Jian Wushuang did this because he claimed the honor which belonged to their squad. He snorted, You want to fight with me? An overconfident idiot. Okay, I'll accept. But I need to remind you that I never show any mercy in a fight, which means I might kill you. Haha, as long as I can fight with the top expert like you, I won't care about my life, Jian Wushuang said while laughing. Well. Wu Ju slowly stood up, a strong aura soaring around his body. Accepted. Protector Wu Ju accepted his challenge. It's hard for Wu Ju to refuse him. I don't know what the boy is thinking. He dares to challenge Wu Ju. He is looking for death. Protector Wu Ju has entered the Blood Moon list for a long time and ranks high. Today he destroyed the Wing Gang and killed Shen Tianyu by himself. How powerful the Protector is. He must be comparable to a half-saint expert. Who is the boy? Doesn't he overestimate himself? I've never seen him before. He should have just joined our team. I know him. He's called Swordsman, who was brought by Bei Mu and Lang Yang. I hear both of them wanted to recommend him as Protector. It seems that he can't be a Protector because his cultivation is too low. Many experts began to talk about it. They did not know of Jian Wushuang and looked at him with disdain. However, the members of the 9th squad had seen Jian Wushuang's real strength, so they felt confident about this fight. Those people don't know it is not Wu Ju but Swordsman who killed Shen Tianyu. Tai Shan sneered. Wu Ju dared to accept. Just wait and see, he will regret this. Swordsman, beat him. The other experts of the 9th squad roared in their hearts. Jian Wushuang stood dozens of meters away from Wu Ju, who held a long black spear. Swordsman, you've just arrived at the Tang dynasty and just met a few experts. I'm afraid you've had fights with lesser experts, so you don't know the experts on the Blood Moon list well. Today, I'll show you, Wu Ju said, with a contemptuous look. I am looking forward to it, Jian Wushuang replied with a smile. His triple kill sword was already unsheathed. What a pity, our Bloody Blade team will lose an expert. After finishing his words, Wu Ju suddenly pushed off with his right leg and dashed out like an arrow. In the blink of an eye, he jumped over a dozen meters and unleashed his long spear toward his opponent's chest, with a harsh sound of piercing the air. It seemed as if a poisonous snake had stuck out its tongue. How fast? Too fast. That's the strength of experts on the Blood Moon list. We're all at the peak of the Yang Void realm, but none of us can hold a candle to Wu Ju. The other experts of Bloody Blade team could not help but sigh. Faced with the stroke, Jian Wushuang just gave a faint smile. Chapter 286, A Twist. Chapter 286, A Twist. Swoosh. A chilling flash of a sword flew out and hacked right at the point of the spear, freezing Wu Ju's attack for a moment. Oh! Wu Ju was amazed. He blocked my attack so easily. That's right. When Bei Mu and Leng Yang recommended him as a protector, they said that they couldn't beat him in a short while even in cooperation. Though it was due to their not trying their best, it still proved that this guy is much stronger than an ordinary expert in the peak of the Yang Void realm. It seems that I have to show a bit more strength to take him down, Wu Ju thought. He twisted his hands in a quirky way to throw his long spear at Jian Wushuang. Along with this move, a huge vortex suddenly appeared. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. He launched 3 attacks in succession with his spear, and each of them was as fast as lightning. Jian Wushuang brandished the triple kill sword and withstood the attacks. Bright sun. A sliver of light flashed in Wu Ju's eyes. He raised the spear high and thrust at Jian Wushuang quickly. Jian Wushuang held his sword up to defend himself. Though he succeeded, the power of the attack pushed him down, and the ground where he stood cracked under the force. Thunderous explosion. With a loud shout, Wu Ju held back the spear and then thrust again, like a dragon rushing at its target. Brat, go to hell. The dragon was so fast that Jian Wushuang could barely defend himself by putting the sword across in front of his chest. 2 forces crushed together, throwing Jian Wushuang away as if he was blown off by an explosion. He fell on the edge of the martial arts practice field and bumped into the walls, cracking it into pieces. Powerful. So strong. The other members of the Bloody Blade team widened their eyes in shock. Humph, arrogant stupid, don't blame me when you see the King of Hell, Wu Ju snorted. But just as he finished his speech, with a slight crack, from the broken walls emerged a figure who slowly walked to him. He didn't die. Wu Ju looked at Jian Wushuang in amazement. He is still alive. Not injured at all. He looks fine without even a scratch. The members of the team were all astonished. Protector Wu Ju, I thought you were as strong as you claimed to be. But it seems like you are not. I'm really disappointed, Jian Wushuang said, shaking his head. Wu Ju was in a daze for a second, while the other experts of the Bloody Blade team were stunned. Having shown his strongest abilities, Protector Wu Ju was still nothing more than a disappointment in Jian Wushuang's eyes. No wonder you rank below 600th on the Blood Moon list, Protector Wu Ju. To tell you the truth, you are not even close to Shen Tianyu. Jian Wushuang started moving as he was speaking. Just in a moment, he crossed over 30 meters and came up to Wu Ju. With his arrival came a puff of fog, coming into being the realm of sword essence that wrapped Wu Ju up. In the fog, suppressed by the sword essence, Wu Ju could hardly move. Just then, a shaft of dazzling sword light suddenly appeared and dove straight to Wu Ju from above. Frowning, Wu Ju quickly thrust at the light with his spear. Clang! With a loud sound, Wu Ju was forced to stagger backward, stern-faced. But in the very next moment, sword flashes struck at him successively with frightening power and at an unbelievably fast speed, like roaring storms. This guy, Wu Ju hurriedly waved his spear to block the unceasing attack in horror. Just in a breath, he successively blocked several attacks, but soon he found himself not able to keep up with the speed of the attacks. I can barely withstand the next attack. Wu Ju's heart tightened. A cold metallic flash of the sword that shone like the light of the sun soundlessly reached Wu Ju's ear, making him chilled to the bone. But at that moment, he was not able to struggle but could only watch the flash getting closer to his face. As the sword was about to pass over his head, it suddenly changed its course. Clap! The sword slapped in Wu Ju's face, making a loud sound, and his face began to turn into red and swollen. After spitting out a mouthful of blood, he smashed to the ground. Swoosh! The sword flashed again, and this time it hewed the ground beside Wu Ju, whizzing past his arm. Crack! The center of the martial arts practice field was cracked into 2 parts by a long, bottomless rift measuring tens of meters. The crack was in the shape of the sword. Looking at the rift beside the ground where he was lying on, Wu Ju swallowed hard, his throat getting dry. He knew that if that attack had aimed at him, his body would have been cut into two parts like the ground. Protector Wu Ju. Jian Wushuang walked slowly up to Wu Ju, looking down at him. Trembling, Wu Ju stared back at Jian Wushuang. Wu Ju wiped the blood off from the corners of his mouth, trying to get up. Seeing Jian Wushuang suddenly get closer to him, Wu Ju was more frightened and took a step back, saying, "What are you going to do with me?" At this moment, Wu Ju was in extreme fear. "Nothing." Jian Wushuang drew closer to Wu Ju and said in a low voice, "Protector Wu Ju, I'm not interested in being a protector or the purple crystal spiritual liquid, not because I am afraid. Don't piss me off, or I'll let you bear the consequences. Though you're the expert on the blood moon list and very strong, you're not made of iron and will die if you have your throat cut." Jian Wushuang stared at Wu Ju sharply up close. Wu Ju was trembling, and he could feel Jian Wushuang's killing intent. He finally understood that because of Jian Wushuang, a strong expert beyond imagination, the 9th team could kill Shen Tianyu. "By the way, it's time for you to give back what you borrowed from me, Protector Wu Ju," Jian Wushuang continued. "What things?" Wu Ju was stunned. "Shen Tianyu's body. I heard you took away the body, but I didn't say that you did not need to return it," Jian Wushuang replied with a casual smile. Upon hearing this, the experts of the Bloody Blade team were suddenly clear about the whole thing. Chapter 287, Sword Tide. Chapter 287, Sword Tide. I never thought that Shen Tianyu was not killed by Wu Ju at all. I had been wondering about this for a long time. Shen Tianyu ranked much higher than Protector Wu Ju on the Blood Moon list, so naturally, he should be stronger than Wu Ju. Back when they were in the Golden Wing City, Protector Wu Ju and Protector Bei Mu together could only suppress Shen Tianyu. How could it be possible that Protector Wu Ju killed Shen Tianyu all by himself? Now, it has turned out that the one who killed Shen Tianyu is Swordsman, not him. Right, only a top expert, like Swordsman, could kill Shen Tianyu. No wonder Wu Ju would be so generous to treat us to the Skyheart wine. He contributed no efforts in killing Shen Tianyu, but he carried that corpse to get the reward. The surrounding experts of the Bloody Blade team began to talk about Wu Ju with disdain, and Jian Wushuang with worship, although they had been dismissive of Jian Wushuang earlier. Like the law of the jungle, the law of this world was that whoever possessed the greatest strength was the king. "Protector Wu Ju, you should give me back Shen Tianyu's body, shouldn't you?" said Jian Wushuang, coldly staring at Wu Ju. At that time, Wu Ju could not find a word to response. "Doesn't matter if you can't. It took me and my bros of the 9th team much effort to kill Shen Tianyu. We don't mind that you claimed the honor, but it will be too much for us if you want to keep the treasures awarded by His Excellency for yourself." Jian Wushuang smiled faintly, but suddenly he came close to Wu Ju to talk to him in a low voice. "Wu Ju, hand the treasures over and I'll let what happened today be, or..." Jian Wushuang stopped talking, but his strong killing intent showed what he wanted to say. Wu Ju looked pale, and unwillingness filled his eyes. But at this moment he was like a fish in Jian Wushuang's net, and all he could do was to give Jian Wushuang everything the master awarded no matter how unwilling he was. "That's more like it," Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Not even sparing a second glance for Wu Ju, he turned back and walked up to the earthen jars of wine. He carried one jar on his shoulder and said, "Brothers, since Protector Wu Ju wants to treat us to this wine, we'd better accept his kindness, shouldn't we?" Wow! 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 Shouts of joy resounded through the whole martial arts practice field, and many experts of the Bloody Blade team came up for the wine and started enjoying drinking. As for Wu Ju, no one bothered to care about him anymore. With one jar of Skyheart wine on his shoulder, Jian Wushuang went back to his manor with the others of the 9th team. They gathered around a stone table, drinking, laughing, and talking. "Ha, who would have thought that Wu Ju's expression when he was defeated by Bro Swordsman would make me so delighted," said Tai Shan, laughing out loud. "Humph, Wu Ju is always domineering. What a pleasure to see him fall down today," said Mo Ying with a smile, I heard he ordered others to keep this a secret when we left. Ha ha ha, how funny. Seeing that Wu Ju was beaten and even humiliated by Jian Wushuang in front of others, every member of the 9th team felt more than happy. All this was due to Wu Ju's bad character, and what he had done this time was bad enough for others to sneer at him. Before this, they could do nothing to him but swallow their anger. Now with Jian Wushuang, things were different. In the world where the strongest could lord it over all others, even though Jian Wushuang had defeated Wu Ju and put him to shame, Wu Ju could not do anything for revenge. Instead, he would have to be in awe of Jian Wushuang as he was much stronger than him. Captain Tai Shan, in this interspatial ring is the treasure awarded by His Excellency. Please take it and share it with other brothers. Jian Wushuang took out an interspatial ring and handed it over to Tai Shan. Why do you give this to us? Tai Shan frowned. You killed Shen Tianyu all by yourself, and we have nothing to do with this honor. This ring. There is nothing more than the purple crystal spiritual liquid in this ring, so take it easy. What's more, since all of you exerted your efforts, how can I keep it myself? Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Ha, Captain, swordsman is not the kind of man who would care about purple crystal spiritual liquid. If he gives it to us, what we should do is to accept, said Mo Ying, grinning. Tai Shan smiled silently and refused no more. Fine, we share it equally. Good. The others of the 9th team began to allocate the purple crystal spiritual liquid in the ring with excitement. Jian Wushuang did not join them. He left alone and walked to the center of the courtyard, sitting down with his leg crossed and his eyes closed. Meanwhile, the mist made of sword essence spread all throughout from his body. Sword fog. Haw, it's very generous of His Excellency to grant a reward of so much purple crystal spiritual liquid. No wonder Wu Ju would treat us to Skyheart wine, cause compared with the liquid he was awarded, the Skyheart wine was nothing, Mo Ying said and laughed loud, but suddenly, he seemed to realize something and looked Jian Wushuang's way. Swordsman is. The others of the team followed his eyes. Hush. Be quiet, don't disturb him, Tai Shan said in a low voice. The others nodded. They stared at Jian Wushuang blankly by the stone table, without a word. Under their gaze, the mist given off by Jian Wushuang slowly transformed. The mist was getting thicker and thicker, and when thick enough, it began to turn into drops. In a jiffy, the drops gathered into a river, waving like a tide. The area filled with mist already became a zone surrounded by the tide. Sword Tide, the second move of Sword Realm. It only took Jian Wushuang 3 days to master the first move of Sword Realm Sword Fog. As for Sword Tide, he had been digging into this all the time and was only one step away from mastering it. Earlier today, when fighting with Shen Tianyu and Wu Ju, he performed Sword Fog and simultaneously obtained a brand new insight of this move. It was not until now that he was able to perform the second move Sword Tide. The power of Sword Tide was much stronger than that of Sword Fog. Tai Shan, Mo Ying, and the others of the team were all shocked looking at the tide of sword essence, and they felt a sense of crisis as if they would be killed once they were blanketed by it. His battle strength improved. The 9 experts of the 9th team stared at Jian Wushuang, eyes widened, and their expression was beyond description. Chapter 288, The Outbreak of the Decisive Battle. Chapter 288, The Outbreak of the Decisive Battle. Beep tilde. The tide around Jian Wushuang suddenly dispersed before Jian Wushuang opened his eyes with a smile. Swordsman, you just... Tai Shan and the others walked up to him right away. With a bit of luck, I made some small breakthrough in sword skill, Jian Wushuang said. He seemed to be in a good mood. But his words made the others unable to help sighing. In their eyes, Jian Wushuang was already incredibly powerful, but now he became even stronger. Though it was only a small breakthrough in sword skill, it still implied that he had enhanced of his strength. I'm so jealous of you. Mo Ying sighed, as he was stuck in the peak of the Yang Void Realm for a long time. Just then, everybody, fall in. A voice thundered in the void above the whole Heartless City, where the Master and the protectors of the Heartless sect hovered over at the top, with their powerful aura spreading all over the place. The voice caused a stir in the whole city, and a large number of figures began to rush skyward. The members of the 9th team all headed up. Something is wrong. Taishan frowned. Let's get there quickly. The 10 members of the team immediately rushed away. In the void there were assembled numerous experts, most of whom were in the yin-yang void realm because of them being able to step on air, and there were even thousands of experts floating therein. Probably, the experts above the yin void realm in the entire Heartless sect have gathered around. All of you, follow me. The master of Heartless sect shouted and led the crowd out of the city. Among the crowd, Zhen Wushuang knit his brows slightly. Not only His Excellency himself but also all the experts in the sect are here. It seems like they will have a life-and-death struggle with the Demon's Island. Just as Zhen Wushuang had expected, it didn't take them long to get to a huge city, which used to belong to the Heartless sect, but now a fierce fight had erupted there. The two sides fighting were exactly the Heartless sect and the Demon's Island. Listen up, everyone, tie a red cloth around your arm and kill every living thing that doesn't have one. The master of Heartless sect commanded. The experts of the Heartless sect immediately took out a red cloth and tied it around their arms. Begin, kill. Eyes burning with anger, the experts of the Heartless sect followed the order, rushing into the city. When they arrived, the experts of the Demon's Island who were impatiently waiting, swarmed at them quickly. "Haha, you heartless old guy, watch how I raise your sect to the ground today," yelled a well-built bareheaded man, standing at the top of the void with a jet-black longstaff in his hand. The aura of the level of half-saint spread out from him, which made him look like a war god. "Damn you, Baldai. Let's see who will be the standing one at the end," the master of Heartless sect said cruelly, dashing straight toward that bald man. In a twinkling, the fight between the two half-saint experts began. The experts of the Heartless sect and the Demon's Island tangled together, and their battle cries reached the heaven. "Go to hell! Slay them, fight! Go to hell, bastards of Demon's Island!" The experts of the two forces fought fiercely, intensifying the battle instantly. The Bloody Blade team, which Zhen Wushuang belonged to, was in an intense fight with a team of Demon's Island about its equal. "Go to hell!" Hair matted and eyes bloodshot, a savage man appeared in front of Zhen Wushuang, chopping toward him with a mountain-cutting broadsword. A cold light flashed in Zhen Wushuang's eyes. He stabbed toward the man at the speed beyond imagination, like a snake soundlessly attacking its prey. The triple kill sword pierced through the man's heart, leaving a large hole through it. Swish! A streak of blood-red light came over beside Zhen Wushuang like a ghost. It was a black-robed woman, staring at Zhen Wushuang coldly. Zhen Wushuang slashed at her backhanded. The woman was blasted away by the powerful force and died directly without any struggling. Seeing that two people in the peak of the Yang Void Realm died in Zhen Wushuang's hands in such a short while, the surrounding experts were all shocked and terrified. How could he be so powerful? Who is he? It looks like that he could be comparable to the experts on the Blood Moon list. Haha, he is called Swordsman, the top fighter in our team. Zhen Wushuang's teammates were overexcited, while the others might be amazed or surprised. "I'm so delighted. It's been some time since I fought with such gratification," said Mo Ying while fighting with an expert of the Demon's Island. Suddenly, a long spear aimed at his back. What the hell? Spotting the attack, Mo Ying's expression changed. Just when he was about to avoid it, the owner of the spear was put down by Zhen Wushuang behind him. "Watch out, bro," Zhen Wushuang said to Mo Ying. "Thanks." Mo Ying raised his eyebrows before going on fighting. Long sword in hand, Zhen Wushuang swept over the battlefield around him, slaughtering the experts of the Demon's Island with ease and sometimes lending his teammates a hand. The triple kill sword also began to quiver frantically in the killing. Is the triple kill sword going to have a breakthrough? Zhen Wushuang's eyes twinkled with pleasure. The sword had restored to a magic weapon of a low second grade for a long time and helped him kill many experts afterwards, mostly because his father killed 2 experts in the Saint realm with the sword and the Saint's blood supported its restoration. After that, Zhen Wushuang killed many experts himself with the sword, which leveled the sword up to its peak as a magic weapon of a low second grade. Now, signs showed that it was going to break through the peak. I should kill more to help the sword. Zhen Wushuang laughed and shuttled through the throng like a ghost. Puff, puff, puff. As he moved, the experts of the Demon's Island successively fell under his sword. He picked up the stronger ones to kill, and among the dead, the weakest were at the initial Young Void realm while the most were at the peak of the Young Void realm. Actually, many experts on the battlefield had noticed his killing spree. Who is he? How could he be so strong? It's so easy for him to kill an expert at the peak of the Young Void realm. He definitely should be on the Blood Moon list. I heard there are only 7 protectors in the Heartless sect on the Blood Moon list. When did it get one more? Damn it. Since our 7 devils were busy fighting with the 7 protectors of the Heartless sect, none of them is free to handle him. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,